Hello, and welcome to the virtual information session for the Duke Career Center's Internship Funding Program for undergraduate students. The Duke Career Center is very excited to have you join us today and that you're interested in learning more about the program. We hope that you find this information session helpful as you navigate through the application process. As part of this virtual information session, we'll cover the basics of the Internship Funding Program. This includes the objectives of the program, student eligibility information, the types of experiences that qualify for funding, some frequently asked questions, an overview of the application process, and some important dates that you'll want to note. Before we discuss qualification criteria, let's first just talk a little bit about the program itself. The Internship Funding Program, or what is often referenced as IFP, is a funding program for low-paying or unpaid summer internships. It was created as a way to encourage Duke students' participation in experiential education and career exploration. It was our hope that by providing funding, students will engage in a more diverse array of internships, as it opens up opportunities that may not be fiscally optional otherwise. The purpose of the program is to minimize expenses that students accrue as a result of participating in unpaid or low-paying summer experiences. Please note that the funding distributed through this program is not intended to provide a wage or stipend for the actual work being performed during the internship, but rather is to offset the costs associated with this type of experience. As we begin to get into the program details, I want to mention a little bit about the application timeline and the award amount set for this year. This year's internship funding program offers 2 application deadlines in order to accommodate more students. The first application cycle opens on January 29th and has a deadline of February 29th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. This cycle is referenced as the regular application cycle. This cycle is for students who have submitted or in the process of submitting resumes to internship opportunities, students who are actively interviewing for internships, students who have already secured an offer, students with offers that have early decision deadlines, and students who would need access to their funding prior to June. The second application cycle opens on March 4th at 12 p.m. noon and has a deadline of April 4th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. This application cycle is referenced as the late application cycle. This application cycle is for students who are applying to internships with later offer timelines, students who have just begun applying for internships, and students who have learned about the program after the regular application cycle has already ended. Students who are awarded during this cycle will not have access to their funding until late June. Please note that all deadlines are final and no late submissions will be accepted. All applications will be evaluated on the same criteria regardless of the cycle in which they've been submitted. The evaluation process takes approximately 1 month in addition to a 1-month processing time for payroll disbursement. The evaluation and award cycles cannot be accelerated or extended, so please take this into consideration when deciding which cycle you would like to submit your application. This year, the Career Center is pleased to announce that we can offer awards of $4,000 per student. So let's talk a little bit about the student eligibility. There are several criteria that need to be met in order to qualify for funding. First, you need to be currently enrolled at Duke as an undergraduate student. Unfortunately, master's and PhD students are not currently eligible for funding through this particular program. We encourage graduate students to seek out funding through the Duke Graduate School. Second, you must either be enrolled for classes or in a university-approved program in the fall semester after your internship. Unfortunately, May and August 2024 graduating seniors are not eligible for funding. Third, you must be in good standing with the university. This includes good academic standing, good standing through student conduct, and good standing with the Student Accounts Office. You must also be legally eligible to complete an internship with your student visa. If you are unsure whether your visa allows for you to complete an internship, please contact Student Visa Services. Students must also be in the application process for an internship in order to be eligible for funding. You do not need to have secured an offer at the time that you apply for funding. Just being in the application process makes you eligible. And finally, students may not concurrently complete any other Duke-sponsored summer program while completing the internship funding program hours. This includes a variety of programs sponsored through Duke, including Duke Engage, Bass Connections, undergraduate research support programs, and NE Plus programs. There's also qualifying criteria for the types of experiences covered by the funding program. In order to be eligible, the internship must meet the following. It must provide a minimum of 240 hours. Your experience can consist of more hours. However, internships with more hours do not receive any preferential treatment during the evaluation process. This internship funding program is open to internships only. Unfortunately, academic research projects can no longer be funded through IFP. This includes independent projects and summer lab positions at Duke or any other academic institution. Your internship must start and conclude during the summer. It must also include consistent supervision and mentoring by a professional. Your internship must be either unpaid or pay must be equal to or less than $1,500 for the entire summer. This includes a variety of types of compensation, including hourly wages, stipends, living allowances, travel allowances, among other payments from the employer to the student. Please note that some exceptions will be made for experiences that are located in higher cost of living areas. Internships can be either hybrid or in person. Hybrid positions must consistently meet in person on site for at least 2 days per week to be eligible. Fully remote internships or hybrid internships that meet only sporadically in person can no longer be funded through IFP. All internships must adhere to university policies relating to travel and restricted regions. If traveling abroad for your internship, you must register your travel with the university prior to departure. And finally, applicants may apply for consideration for up to 3 qualifying internships. Funding may only be applied to those internships listed on their application. The funding program is a selective program that grants awards based upon quality of experiences and its potential impact on an applicant. Recipients are selected by an independent selection committee that receives, reviews, and ranks all applications. The most competitive internships will provide an opportunity for intellectual growth, developing knowledge and skills relating to a specific career or setting, exploring new career options and understanding career paths, developing professional skills, exposure to unique experiences that could not be gained through paid opportunities, and most importantly, these experiences will address your specific learning goals, whether it be academic, career, or personal self-knowledge. Therefore, it is important that you present your opportunity in the best possible light on your application and explain why the internship is important to you. While we encourage all undergraduate students to apply for funding regardless of major and interests, please be aware that there are some experiences that do not qualify for the Career Center's internship funding program. If you are interested in pursuing any of the following experiences, please be aware that you will need to seek funding from other sources. Fee-based volunteer programs. These types of programs require students to fundraise a certain amount of money prior to participating or being accepted into an internship. Tuition-based programs. These internships require a student to pay tuition or fees in order to be placed into an internship with an organization. Many times, these programs are hosted by independent companies and will include language programs, touring packages, and seminars as part of the internship experience. Fully remote opportunities. Due to limited funding, we are only able to support hybrid and in-person internships. Hybrid internships that do not consistently meet in person and on site for at least 2 days per week for the duration of the experience are not eligible. Additionally, academic research, including both independent projects and summer lab positions, are not eligible for funding. Please note that this is a change from previous years. We encourage students with research funding needs to reach out to the Office of Undergraduate Research Support as well as their academic department. Experience without regular supervision by an on-site professional and experiences that begin or end outside of the summer term are not eligible. Again, while these experiences may be beneficial to students, they are not covered by the terms of our endowment and therefore are not eligible for funding through the Career Center's Internship Funding Program. Next, we're going to discuss some frequently asked questions. The first frequently asked question is one that's very popular and I always get throughout every year's application cycle. The question is, can I still apply for internship funding program funding if I have not yet been accepted into an internship? And the answer to this question is yes. You can still apply for funding even if you have not yet secured an internship. However, you must be in the application process or interview process for an internship in order to apply. This means that you have to have at least submitted a resume to the employer prior to applying to the funding program. Please note, however, that all students who are selected for funding must provide proof of acceptance of an offer prior to having their funds processed and dispersed. Our second frequently asked question is, can I include more than one summer internship in my funding application? And the answer to this question is yes. You can actually include up to 3 summer internships for which you would like to be considered for funding. In addition to meeting all eligibility requirements, all 3 positions must be also fully documented according to the application instructions in order to be considered for funding. Please note, however, funding cannot be transferred to internships outside of those listed on your application. This means that if you are selected for funding and decide to accept a position that is not listed on your application, you must return all of the funds, even if the internship is similar in nature to the ones on your application. Due to the selection committee's evaluation process, awards are tied to both a student and the positions on the student's application. Since the committee only evaluates the positions on the application, awards cannot be applied to internships that were not included. Therefore, it's very important that you're being selective when listing the positions on your application. Our third frequently asked question is one that's also very popular, and it is, how competitive is the internship funding program? So this is a great question that doesn't have a clear-cut, straight answer because there's a lot of variables that are involved in determining how many individuals get selected. The Career Center has a very specific amount of funding that's available, and it's based upon an endowment that we receive through generous donors. We try to award as much money to as many students as possible with this funding. However, it is impossible to award every single applicant. The exact number of students being awarded funds is entirely dependent upon the number of applicants, the quality of their applications, and the amount of funding available from our endowment for that particular year. In the past, our award rate has varied anywhere from 17% to 40%, which is a pretty great range of acceptances. With this being said, we do encourage all undergraduates with a financial need and interest to apply for funding. So let's move on and talk a little bit about what the application process involves. All applications must be completed by the designated application deadline for either the regular application cycle or the late application cycle, depending upon which cycle you select. There will be no exceptions to application deadlines, and incomplete applications will not be considered for funding. The very first step in the application process is to visit the Internship Funding Program's page on Career Hub, and the URL is listed on this particular screen. Please take the time to carefully review all the content on the page, including the terms and conditions of the program and additional commonly asked questions. After reviewing the Internship Funding Program Career Hub page, click on the IFP application link listed under Application Process. This will take you to the application portal where you'll submit all of your application materials. This is what the application landing page looks like. When you arrive on the application landing page, please review all of the content that is listed about the funding program. And then when you're ready, click Apply Now. This will open the application where you'll find instructions and the 4 components that consist of the application. These components include the Career Center's Internship Funding Program acknowledgements, the Career Center Internship Funding Program personal statement, the Career Center Internship Funding Program questionnaire, and the Duke Experiences application. All 4 of these parts must be completed in order to be considered for funding. I'll go over more about each component in the next couple slides. So let's start with the funding program acknowledgement section. This is a fairly simple statement that states that you have viewed this information session and all of the program information listed on Career Hub and also on the application landing page. To complete this step, you'll just click on the blue sign button and it'll insert your digital signature. The next component to the application is the personal statement. So the personal statement is a key part of your application because it's the narrative that you present to the selection committee about why you're applying for funding. We'll get into specific guidelines about the personal statement in just a few slides, but for now, I just want to show you that this is where you'll upload that document so that the committee can receive it and review it. We're now moving on to the Career Center Internship Funding Program questionnaire. This questionnaire contains questions about your proposed summer internships. This questionnaire is where you'll be asked to list up to 3 potential internships in which you'd like to be considered for funding. Please remember that you are limited to only listing 3 experiences and that funding can only be applied towards these positions. So please carefully consider the experiences as you list them on your application. This is also a really good time to mention that you can only edit the content on your application before it is submitted. Unfortunately, the system locks the application materials once they have been submitted, so applicants are not able to return and edit the information. So please take that into consideration and do not submit your applications until you're completely comfortable with the information that's listed on them. The final component to the application process is completing the Duke Experiences application. This is a university application that is used for several summer programs, including the Internship Funding Program. This application is sometimes referred to as what you might hear common or central application, since it can be used for multiple programs and only includes general questions about you as an applicant. Some of the questions asked on the application are regarding your program, your academic program, your plans to complete summer coursework, and whether you are seeking academic credit for your summer experience. Please note that not all the questions listed on this application will be critical for every program that uses it. For example, this application asks for the names and contact information for 2 references. References are not used during the Career Center's selection process for the internship funding program. However, you will still need to complete that section of the application because the university requires it. Also, this portion of the application is where you'll be asked to upload your resume and an unofficial copy of your transcripts. These 2 materials will be used by the selection committee when evaluating your candidacy for funding. Again, all these steps must be completed by the deadline, and all application materials are expected to uphold the Duke Community Standard. As I had previously mentioned, one of the steps for the application process is to submit a personal statement. The recommended guidelines for the personal statement are included on this screen, so you might want to do a screenshot of it. If you don't screenshot it, it's also available as a link off of the Career Center's Internship Funding Program site that's on Career Hub. So some of these guidelines are: your document should be 3 pages or less. It should be double spaced with 1-inch margins, and you will use only one personal statement to address all of the internships that are listed on your application. So this may require you to edit or revise the document in order to meet the length criteria. Within your personal statement, you'll want to describe the organizations that are listed on your application, along with descriptions of each summer internship that's listed on your application. Discuss how these opportunities will enhance your personal, professional, or intellectual goals. This is a critical piece because this is what the selection committee will specifically be looking for throughout the personal statement. You'll want to relate your summer experiences to your academic coursework or previous experiences that you've already had. Address why this internship is important to you and why it is worth funding. Also discuss how this particular position differs from other similar internships which may be paid. And finally, you want to discuss what you're hoping to gain from the internship and how you plan to make a contribution towards that particular organization. The Career Center offers a variety of resources that can help you as you go through creating a competitive application. We encourage you to utilize any or all of the resources as you progress through the process of your application. The first resource that is available to you is a 15-minute virtual appointment with Leanne Waring, who is the information or the IFP program coordinator, which by the way is also me. These appointments must be made at least 1 day in advance and are for general questions about your application process and funding program. Please note that I cannot provide feedback on your personal statements or your resumes because I am a member of the selection committee and I must remain objective. To set up an appointment, you can either email me at leanne.waring@duke.edu or off of the Career Hub website, you can click on my Calendly link and that will provide you with some options to schedule appointments. We also offer individual appointments with the Career Center's advising team. These appointments can be used for general assistance with your application. Also, they can provide feedback and review your personal statements and critique your resume. You can schedule an appointment with a career advisor through Handshake. Drop-in advising with the Career Center advising team is also available. Please note that drop-ins are only for 5 to 10 minutes and are on a first come, first served basis. And so they can really only be utilized for some quick questions or if you want a critique of your resume or your personal statement. To find out when drop-in hours are, please visit Career Hub and you'll find the advising times available. We also offer Handshake, which is the Career Center's recruiting system, where you'll find hundreds of internship postings as well as our upcoming recruitment event information. This will be very helpful if you're still in the process of searching for a summer internship. There's also a section on Career Hub that is for internship resources or internship search resources. So Career Hub, I've mentioned a couple times. I should mention that it is the comprehensive website of the Career Center. And included on the site are a variety of different resources that can assist you with finding a summer internship. These resources include things like non-handshake internship posting sites, job search tips, and a variety of other internship-focused content. And finally, quick questions through email with me. If you're not able to attend a virtual appointment or a drop-in advising, or if you just have a really quick question, feel free to email me. You can email me at leanne.waring@duke.edu. Just please note that during the application periods, I receive a huge volume of email. So please allow 24 to 48 hours for responses. I also kindly ask that you rewatch the virtual information session and check the frequently asked questions section on the IFP website prior to emailing me or scheduling an appointment, because many of these commonly asked questions are covered in both areas. As you're applying for funding through the Internship Funding Program, please be aware that there are terms and conditions associated with your funds. Some of these terms and conditions include that if you receive funding, the funding award that you receive is attached to the summer internships listed on your application only, and it cannot be transferred to any other position. Therefore, once again, please be selective when listing your opportunities on the application. Your focus should be dedicated to your funded internship. Therefore, award recipients cannot participate in other university-sponsored programs while completing their IFP experience. You are expected to complete the number of hours that you have listed on your application. The Internship Funding Program is not just a funding program, it's also a comprehensive career development program. Therefore, you'll be required to participate in a few career modules outside of your internship hours. Failure to participate in these activities will result in the university rescinding your funding. If you are selected for an award, the following will be asked of you as a condition of your program. You'll be asked to submit learning objectives, progression updates, performance reviews, and any additional requested documentation. You'll be asked to participate in a summer check-in session and some additional activities. You'll be asked to write a thank you letter to your donor at the end of your internship. Also, we will ask you to submit at least 2 photos taken during your internship, which will be used as marketing for the IFP program and will also be shared with your donor. You'll be asked to submit a reflective essay at the end of your internship, which will also be shared with your donor. And the thank you letter, the pictures, and the reflection essay will all have additional information provided to you, so that way you have a format and know what the expectations are for each of those. You'll be asked to participate in a post-internship reception in September, which is a really fun event where you just get to come and we feed you and you get to talk about what you did and what you learned throughout your summer with other students that receive funding, as well as some university staff and faculty. And then also, you'll be asked to notify the Career Center immediately of any changes in your summer plans. We understand that plans do change. However, before you commit to those changes, please contact us first to make sure that the changes that you want to make will be covered by the terms and conditions of the funding program. Specifically, this includes changes to your internship position and site location. You must have permission to make those changes prior to doing so, or else your funding does run the risk of being rescinded. Please note the following key dates. So these are important dates that you'll want to write down. They relate to the application and award cycle. For the regular application cycle, January 26th is when the regular application opens. February 29th is when the regular application cycle's deadline. So all applications are due on this day. March 29th is when funding decisions will be announced for the regular cycle. You will be contacted by email, and that email will be whatever you entered on your application. if you were selected for funding. If you were not selected for funding, but were designated as an alternate, your application was identified as being very competitive, but unfortunately, we had exhausted all funds associated with the regular application cycle. Therefore, your application will actually be transitioned automatically into the late application cycle for further consideration. April 7th is when you must notify the Career Center about your intention to either accept or reject the funding. Also, you'll be asked to complete required payroll paperwork if you decide to accept the funding by this particular deadline. At the end of May, you will receive your funding payment. And in mid-September is when all of your photos and your thank you letter and your reflection paper will be due. And again, additional information about that would be shared with you upon your internship offer. For the late application cycle, March 4th is when this cycle opens. April 4th is when the late applications are due. April 30th is when the funding decisions for the late cycle will be announced. You'll be contacted again by the email that was entered on your application. May 6th is when you must notify the Career Center about your intention to whether accept or decline funding. And again, you'll also be asked to complete some required payroll paperwork. The end of June is when you'll receive your funding payment. And mid-September is when your paper and your thank you letter and your photos will be due, just like the regular cycle. So I mentioned previously, the timelines for the application cycles are set and cannot be deviated from. So I recommend that you please carefully consider the application deadlines and the funding distribution dates when planning your summer. If you are selected for funding, you'll receive your award in a lump sum upon processing through payroll. And please note that the payroll takes approximately 4 weeks to process the awards, which is why we have the late May and the late June distribution dates. We want everyone who is applying for funding to enter the process as if you're going to be selected for an award. In order for the payroll to process your award in time for the end of either a May disbursement or a June disbursement, we must complete all of the necessary tax work quickly. Federal law requires a valid passport or a driver's license and social security card to be presented when tax paperwork is completed. Please begin gathering these documents now so that way they are readily available should you be granted a funding award. Your award cannot be processed without these documents being presented. Awards may require additional processing time for students who need to complete the I-9 verification, so keep that in mind as well when you're planning your summer. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this virtual information session. We are very, again, excited to have you be interested in the program. I hope that you found the information presented to be helpful as you progress through your application. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me by either email or by connecting with one of our career advisors. The Career Center is here as a resource for you to help guide you through this application process. So I hope you have a wonderful day and best of luck to you with your funding applications.